Bell Sews. My name's Sarah. Thanks for joining me today. It's Friday. I'm filming this a little later than I'd hoped to because our neighbours are doing work next door and there is quite a bit of noise, but that seems to be done now. So I'm going to try my luck. I hope you've had a good week. I am getting back into the swing of things. I'm trying to fit in a bit of sewing, a bit of reading, as sort of not New Year's resolutions, but just I think I tend to get very much like work during term time, and I sort of lose myself just in work. So I'm trying to keep things a bit more balanced. So behind me, you will see what I've been working on this week. It was a little more involved. So I think I sometimes want to sew for the gratification of getting something together quickly. And yeah, as such, there are certain patterns that I go to where I know I can sew them up really quickly. And sometimes I'm then put off sewing things that are a bit more involved. But behind me, you will see this is the Kalle shirt, which is a closet core patterns. And the fabric is one that I bought at the Stitch Festival last year. And I've seen a few people talking about New Year's resolutions. And one of the things that came up a few times was about using, like, saving fabric for best. And I definitely have quite a few fabrics like that I've just loved so much that I've not wanted to cut into them. When I purchased this, it was from Selfridge and Bolts, and my plan was to make a shirt. So I bought the Kalle shirt pattern, and then I just never made it. And obviously I've been thinking about the Stitch Festival coming up again this year, and I saw this pattern on the side, this fabric on the side, and I just thought, I'm going to do it. So I just thought I'd show you. It's not completely finished yet. So there are some nice qualities of this. I'll just move to the side so I can show you a bit better. It's a bit, this fabric creases like a lot. So some of the things that take a bit longer, obviously, with making a shirt are the collar. It's just a normal construction of a collar. It's not complicated, but it's just a bit fiddly. You have the placket for the buttons. Now the Kalle shirt has a few options for this. So you can do like a concealed full length placket. You can do like a shorter concealed placket. I just did the normal full-length button placket. For the sleeves, so I actually used a mix of the Kalle pattern and the expansion pack. So the normal Kalle shirt pattern, I don't know if you can see here, we have dropped sleeves here. So this is where the seam normally is. And the original pattern doesn't have anything beyond that. So you just have these sort of short, like, I don't know what you call them. Is it like sort of like a cap sleeve, but it's like an off the shoulder, very, very short sleeve. The expansion pack gives you a couple of options. I went for the full length sleeve with a cuff. Now this will have a couple of buttons eventually. Yeah, but I'm worried they're a bit long. Actually, it seemed to come up very long when I tried it on. But I'm wondering if once it's got the buttons and it's a bit more gathered at the wrist, that hopefully it'll billow in a nice way, rather than just looking like I'm a child in an adult's coat. And then a couple of other details that are worth a look. If I can just turn this around. We have a nice yoke at the back and this pleat detail in the middle. So it just means it's got like a lot of movement, which is great for this fabric, which I can't actually remember exactly what the makeup of the fabric is. It feels sort of like, I don't know, it feels like a viscose. It's like drapier than but it's very, very smooth. And it's just got like a nice, like, sometimes like a viscose challis can be a little bit like flimsy. Whereas this has this nice drape, but it's also got like a good weight and it's super soft. And then these little flecks, so I didn't really explain the fabric much, but it's sort of like a zodiac print. You've got all of the different signs on there, and then you have these gold. So initially I thought they were like sewn in little flecks, but actually I think it's glued on. So I did pre-wash this fabric, but I'm going to be careful moving forward washing it, because obviously you don't want all the gold to come off and just be left with glue patches, which I have done with other fabrics before. And then the other little feature, which I don't know if you'll be able to see, is it has a dipped hem. So I haven't pressed the hem since I've done it. So the hem is bound. So you make your own bias binding and then sew it under. And it's sort of curved. Again, I'll show you a picture. That'll be easier. It's got a curved hem. So it basically goes up at the sides. So it's been, I've sewed it up. I started it on Sunday. And I've just been doing sort of bit by bit. So today I added on the final sleeve and I did the hem with the bias binding. And yeah, it's just been a bit more involved than things I've made recently, but I'm pleased with how it's come out. I don't feel bad for using the fabric. I feel like it's a good match for the pattern. And the expansion pack and the Kalle shirt pattern are really quite easy to follow. Basically, you follow the directions of the original pattern up until, so you insert the collar, you attach the sleeves. So you insert the collar and then you switch to the expansion pack, and then you do everything with the sleeves, and then you go back to the original pattern. So that was quite straightforward. So all I have left to do are buttons and buttonholes. I initially planned, a friend of mine bought me some nice sort of glittery buttons last year, and I thought they would be perfect, but I put them on and they just didn't quite work. They're like sort of a white silvery base, and I think it just didn't go with the palette so well. But I have these buttons from Pigeon Wishes, which I purchased, I think, at the Knitting and Stitching show in October, with no project in mind, and they go really perfectly. I don't know how well you can see that, but because you have these sort of motifs, so like there's a what is it, like a sort of jug, and there's also, what's the other one in green? There's this thing. I don't really know what that is. Yeah, I don't know which style sign that's supposed to be, but whatever that other green thing is. And these buttons pick that shade of green out really nicely, and I have enough of them, so these are going to be the buttons that go on. I'm going to use my new gauge to work out how to place them. That's where I always go wrong with making shirts. I find if you're busty, the button placement is like quite confusing, and I have this mannequin which is technically at my measurements, but obviously like the way you hold your weight, so with this one the frame obviously just keeps getting bigger, and I feel like I carry more weight on my front than in my back, so it's not, you don't just sort of expand like this, you know. And yeah, so even if I get it to sit nicely on the mannequin, if I put it on, it's not quite right, so I need to work it out. I'm going to work out where the bust button needs to be, and then I'm going to use the gauge to try and work the rest of it out. So wish me luck on that. I'm hoping that this will be a good shirt that I can wear to work and stuff. So yeah, it's been a good project. If anyone else has made the Kalle shirt, or the shirt, I think there's a shirt dress as well, let me know. I think the shirt dress, I'm not sure is a shape that I would make, but it's very like straight down. Yeah, I don't know if I'd make that. Maybe. So yeah, but if you've made it, or if you've got any other shirt patterns that you really love, I wanted like a relaxed fit. So yeah, let me know. I thought next, I've had some fabric delivered this week. Excuse me, got a frog in my throat. I've had a couple of things delivered, and then I've also, so I made this video about Brighton fabric shopping, and then I watched it back, and there were problems with the sound and there was problems with the light, and I just haven't had time to record it again, so I thought I'd actually just show you what I got here and give you a very short review of my shopping trip to Brighton. So what I would basically say is my favourite shop that I found in Brighton was one that didn't show up when I Googled. It just was near where my friend lived, and she said, oh, there's a fabric shop around the corner. So the ones that come up when you Google, there's Closs and Hamlin, which is a chain, and that's just closed, or it was in the process of closing when I was there. So they did have a clearance sale. It's more like there's a lot of furnishing fabric and stuff like that. They did have some dressmaking stuff. The haberdashery was also pretty good there. So if you are within the vicinity of Brighton and you think that might be for you, then worth a look. The two others that came up were, there was one called Ditto Fabrics, and there was one called Cloth Control, and they are both on the lanes. So if you don't know Brighton, the lanes are like these little narrow streets with lots of little shops on. There are some really cute shops, like quirky little independent shops and cafes and things like that. Now, Ditto Fabrics was probably the one that was least for me. They had, I don't know, I think it wasn't sort of bright and colourful enough, the prints, it just didn't call to me. But it was a nice little shop, and also bear in mind we went in the first week of January, and I think a lot of shops probably restock in the new year, so it might, like, I don't know if when I went, if that was a true representation of what they'd normally stock. But I just felt like there wasn't much selection, I guess. But it's worth a look because there were a few things that jumped out at me there, and you never know when you go. I think with a lot of fabric shops, it's sort of the luck of the draw. They could just have something that you really love. Cloth Control, which is basically across the road from there, I really liked. My friend bought some fabric to make some pyjama trousers. I will try and add a little clip in of the fabric she picked now. So she's gonna make super cute pajamas, and yeah, and it just had a nice selection. There were a lot of prints that I've seen online before. They had some nice coatings. It was laid out really nicely, so I felt like, you know, some fabric shops you go and everything's just sort of piled up and you really have to dig through, whereas with Cloth Control I felt like everything was really well presented, so you could see and find what you were looking for. I was specifically after some cotton jersey because I wanted to make, so I made my Christmas pajamas, which are great, but I feel a bit weird still wearing them in mid-January. So I wanted to make another pair that are basically the same, but in a non-Christmas fabric. And they didn't have a massive selection of cotton jersey when I was there, so I did not buy anything. But as I said, my friend bought something. Now, the shop that I really loved was, it was called like H&F, which, and it's just like haberdashery and fabric is what that stands for. And it was just like a minute away from where Closs and Hamlin was in Brighton. I think it's called the Western Road. I think that's what the road's called. And it was a little treasure trove. Let me tell you, I could have bought so much in there. I don't know. Sometimes I just think maybe it depends on what you're, because I couldn't put my finger on what I liked about it, but there was just so much in there that I would have liked to have bought. Upstairs, which is at ground level, is more sort of organised. I picked up a couple of things, which I'll show you in a second. Downstairs, they have more just like the piles of the rolls. And there was loads of stuff there that I think I would go back, and they had a whole room for different types of coating. So there was wool, and there was leather, and there was like quilted fabrics, and there was loads of coat stuff. And then they had another room which had more like, there was a lot of like viscose and like broderie and double gauze and stuff like that. So just a really good selection. And then upstairs was more of like the main ranges. So I'll just show a bit of what I bought. So the first thing I bought, which is what I actually went in to buy, was cotton jersey for pajamas. So I ended up with this. You can't go to Brighton and not buy rainbows. So they actually had lots of different rainbow print fabrics. A lot of them, they were on light colours or on grey. And I don't really tend to wear a lot of light colours because I live in a house with a slobbery dog. And also I'm quite a messy person. So I just don't trust myself with anything too lightly coloured. The grey one, it had these like neon rainbows on. And I did pick it up for a while and I was like, and my friend was like, oh, the grey's not really you. And I never wear grey. And I was like, I know, I just like the neon. But then we walked around the corner and we found this. So this has this lovely soft cotton jersey. I don't know how well you can see in the light, but it's sort of like a, I don't know, like a dark magenta-y colour. And then the rainbows are in sort of pink and white and green and mustard and red. And then you've got little hearts to match them here. So I'm going to make pyjamas in this. I have some ribbing in a light pink, which will hopefully complete them for me. I don't know when I'm going to do that, but that's on the list. Now, the other one is a bit random, and this is why this shop was my favourite. When I first started sewing, I fell in love with this fabric that I saw on Instagram, and by the time I went to try and buy it, it was sold out in this colourway pretty much everywhere. And I ended up buying it in a different colourway, so I'll add a picture here of the dress I made in the other colourway. But I've always like longed for, whenever I see this, like a garment made in this fabric, I always am like, I wish I'd bought it because I just love the colours. And anyway, I at one point managed to find somewhere that had, I think it was 1.4 meters left of it. And I just bought it because I was like, I'm just going to buy it and then I hope I can find some others. And I haven't been able to find it anywhere else. And this was like probably 2 years ago that I was looking for this. And I'd given up hope. I've Googled it. I've looked up, no luck. Anyway, this shop had it in that colourway. So I bought another couple of meters. Hang on, can't get it to open up now. I bought another couple of meters and here it is. Can you tell? I seem to be buying everything in this colour at the moment. Yeah, so it's sort of, I think the website I bought it off said it was raspberry, the background colour. So it's more pink in the background than it's showing on the camera. And then it's got like these darker splotches. And then it has sort of like leopard print. Yeah, in black and a light pink and then a sort of greeny colour. I just love it. I just love this colourway. I honestly couldn't believe it when I saw it. I was like, so I've got another couple. So now I have about 3.5 meters of this, which is enough to make a dress or something. I don't even know what I'm going to make with it, but I just was so overjoyed. So that's the other thing. Sometimes stuff like that shop, the H&F shop, doesn't have a website that you can shop off. So there would be no way of me knowing that they stocked that fabric, aside from the fact I went in there. And also it could have been hidden away, but it was like right there on one of the main shelves. It was fate. Anyway, so that was my experience of that. I've then had a couple of other fabrics delivered this week. So one, I think I talked to you before about how I was looking for like a plain fabric to make a skirt from, because I make a lot of tops that are patterns and then I have nothing to wear them with. And I quite wanted something that I could wear to work. So I ended up, this is, I think, not going to show up well on camera at all. It'll just look plain black. Maybe you can see some little dots on there? So this is from Fabric Godmother. And I purchased it. They had a whole video feature on Instagram the other day about stuff with dots on. And this has very, very subtle, like I think it's a viscose jacquard, little dots. So I've spoken to you before how I struggle to buy plain fabrics. Like I always want them to have something, like a texture or just something to them. So I saw that it was, I think it was, I don't know, maybe £10 a metre or something. So I just bought a couple of meters to make a skirt. And I'm going to pick this up here. I don't know if you remember before, I bought some Atelier Brunette elastic before Christmas for a Christmas skirt that I never made because they didn't send the fabric with it. So I'm thinking I'm just going to do a very, very simple skirt, like elasticated waist gathered skirt. So it will have this little gold band and then it will just be a plain black skirt. And then hopefully I can actually wear it with some stuff. So that's good. And technically that's me buying a sensible plain fabric that will actually go with some of the other stuff I've made. Now the other thing I haven't made anything else. The other thing I've purchased was purchased from Jenny Stitches with a voucher, which I get as part of being a member of the blogger team. So it is from the new Fabric Godmother Valentine's collection. And it is this. So it's a crepe. I've actually never sewn with crepe before. I don't know why. But it's got this lovely heart print. And it's quite busy, isn't it? I always basically don't tend to buy Valentine's fabric because I always think like, I mean, we don't really do Valentine's Day. We'll normally do something maybe a couple of days before or a couple of days after because it's cheaper. And you're not then crammed into, there's not sort of the pressure of being out on Valentine's Day. This year I'm actually away for Valentine's Day, so I'm off work that week. Nate will be working, so me and Nala are going up north, and I'm doing some wedding bits. So my mum's going to be there. We're going to go and get some stuff for her to wear to our wedding, and then a family friend who is an amazing artist and a very great creative person is doing the venue dressing for our wedding. So she's coming up to see the venue and to do some sort of bits related to that. So I'll be up doing lots of Wedmin the week of Valentine's. But I just thought I might make like a nice, I don't know, I could make another shirt, you know, or I could make, I'm still waiting to make a Marnie, Ginny the Buttons Marnie, which I think could be quite cute in this actually. I don't know if I've got enough. I think I've got 2.5 meters. So yeah, so those are my deliveries this week. I have not received my underwear kits yet. I've seen some other people have theirs already. I popped them a message today because I've not had a dispatch notice. And they said, yeah, sorry, we had loads of orders. It'll be coming out soon. So I'm hoping that by next week, I might be able to show you that. And I'm also hoping, so I think the Little Miss So-and-so boxes are dispatched around the 21st and today's the 20th. So I'm hoping that by next week, I'll be able to show you that. I'll hopefully also have a finished shirt. And my other plan for the weekend is to sew up the zero waste dress. So it's Birgitta Helmersson, I think is how you say it. And this is the pattern and the fabric that I received in the Hazo Sister project box. So I have a little bit of it here. It's all cut out and ready to go. For everything to pin together. So this is the fabric. And I am doing this as a collab with Sofa Serenity, so Adele, and she is making the same pattern in nice viscose fabric. So we'll be sharing that, I think, early in February, but I'm going to try and sew that up this weekend, or at least have a go at it. So my jobs are to finish this and to sew up that. So we'll have to find something to show you next Friday, because I'm not sure I'll get much else done apart from that, but you never know. So yeah, that's what I've got to share today. Thank you for tuning in. I've been really enjoying watching lots of different vlogs recently, having them on in the background while I'm doing other things. And also it's just so nice to sort of be chatting to a few of you and yeah, and having some nice sewing chat. I got some really interesting responses about the pattern clubs last week. And yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting hearing people's different viewpoints, and I don't necessarily think anyone's right or wrong. I think I was more just surprised at the scale at which people were. Like, I didn't realise so many people were bothered by that model. But then the more you hear people say why they're bothered by it, the more it sort of makes sense. So it's interesting. I'm sticking with Cashmerette for now. I think I like the ethos of the company a lot. I like that they've always been committed to plus size, to helping with fitting. There are sort of lots of things I've learned through being a Cashmerette sewist, and so I'm going to stick with them for now. And I think I'm just going to sort of see how, you know, if Closet Core release a pattern on their club, or their crew, I think it's called, that I really love, then maybe I would sign up for that month. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but we'll see. I do have some other really exciting news, actually, something that happened this week, but I can't share it, and I'm not going to be able to share it for a while. But yeah, so there's stuff going on behind the scenes that I can't tell you about quite yet. But yeah, exciting things to come. Feeling good about this year, guys. Yeah, continue not to watch the news, continue to just get my head down, do some sewing, do some reading, go to work, plan the wedding. Oh, and that's one other thing. I'm just gabbering on now. Yabbering, don't know. I've decided that I am going to make the Flower Girl dresses. I've ummed and ahed, and I've basically had two instances where I found dresses that I really love that I think would work, and both of them have no longer been available. Now, the first one was something that was too complicated. It was basically fabric in a really good colour, but it was also embroidered in colours that went exactly with my flowers. So like the base colour is the same colour as my bridesmaids are wearing, and then the embroidery was the exact colour palette of my flowers. And I was just thinking, well, I don't have time to do that level of embroidery. And I don't machine embroidery, it'd be hand embroidery, and I don't have the time or the skill to do that for 4 flower girls. But then I found another completely different design, and completely different colour palette and everything, but that fits in. And that one was sold out as well, and they're not planning on restocking it. But I think I could make those dresses. So now I'm thinking I might just make the Flower Girls dresses. So I'm just doing some research at the moment, trying to pick a pattern, need to get some fabric samples, but I will keep you posted about how that goes. Try not to overload myself. Initially I was like, I'm gonna make everything, and now I'm just trying to keep it really relaxed. So I'm thinking Flower Girl dresses, I'm gonna make myself like a robe and maybe some pajamas, and I might make myself an evening dress. Again, I'm sort of obsessed with my dress that I've purchased, so part of me thinks, am I going to want to change? But the other part of me thinks I might want something that's just a bit more of a relaxed fit for dancing around in. So we'll see. Anyway, I think I've gone on for long enough now. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If you enjoy these videos, please do like and subscribe. It means so much. And yeah, leave a comment. Always happy for a chat. Yeah, have a great weekend. All right, thanks guys. Bye.